Article 406.4 of the National Electrical Code states that spring wound clock shall be provided with a hold-open feature. Article 406.4b4 states that snap switches installed in flush device boxes or surface enclosures shall be provided with a self-closing feature. Spring wound wall switches must have a hold-open feature, which prevents the switch from automatically returning to the off position after being manually operated. Snap switches, which are commonly used as wall switches, must be self-closing, meaning they return to the off position after being released. Hold-open features are required to prevent accidental interruption of power to critical equipment such as electrical closets and mechanical rooms. Self-closing features ensure that switches are not left in the on position when not needed, reducing energy waste and potential electrical hazards. The installation of spring wound wall switches without a hold-open feature is against the National Electrical Code and poses a safety hazard. It is important to understand the specific requirements outlined in the National Electrical Code for spring wound switches to ensure safe and compliant electrical installation. Let's delve deeper into the purpose and implications of these code requirements. Firstly, the requirement for a hold-open feature in spring wound switches addresses a critical safety concern. In areas like electrical closets and mechanical rooms, where essential equipment is often housed, maintaining a continuous power supply is paramount. If a spring wound switch were to automatically return to the off position, it could inadvertently interrupt power to vital systems, potentially causing disruptions, damages, or even hazardous situations. The hold-open feature ensures that the switch remains in the on position until intentionally turned off, preventing such accidental power interruptions. Secondly, the requirement for self-closing features in snap switches is equally important for safety and energy conservation. Snap switches, commonly used as wall switches, control lighting and other electrical loads in various settings. If these switches were not self-closing, they could be left in the on position unintentionally, leading to unnecessary energy consumption and potential overheating of electrical components. The self-closing mechanism ensures that the switch automatically returns to the off position when released, minimizing energy waste and reducing the risk of electrical hazards. Understanding these code requirements is crucial for electrical engineers, contractors, and maintenance personnel involved in electrical installations and maintenance. Failure to comply with these regulations can result in code violations, safety risks, and potential liabilities. It is essential to select and install switches that meet the specific requirements of the National Electrical Code to ensure safe and reliable operation. When choosing spring wound and snap switches, verify that they are listed and labeled by a recognized testing laboratory, indicating that they have been evaluated and meet the applicable safety standards. Additionally, follow the manufacturer's instructions for installation and maintenance to ensure proper functionality and longevity. Regular inspections of electrical systems, including switches, are essential to identify any signs of wear, damage, or malfunction. Replace any defective switches promptly to prevent potential hazards. By adhering to the National Electrical Code requirements and implementing proper maintenance practices, you can create a safer and more energy-efficient electrical environment. Remember, electrical safety is a shared responsibility, and it is crucial for all stakeholders to be aware of and comply with the relevant codes and regulations. Now, let's further elaborate on the practical implications of these code requirements in different settings. In commercial buildings, electrical closets often house critical equipment such as distribution panels, transformers, and backup power systems. Maintaining a continuous power supply to these systems is essential for the smooth operation of the building. The use of spring wound switches with hold-open features ensures that maintenance personnel can safely work in these areas without the risk of accidentally interrupting power to critical equipment. Similarly, in industrial facilities, mechanical rooms typically house pumps, compressors, and other machinery that require a reliable power source. The installation of compliant switches in these areas prevents accidental shutdowns that could disrupt production processes or compromise safety. In residential settings, while the consequences of power interruptions may be less severe, the principles of safety and energy conservation still apply. Self-closing switches help to prevent lights from being left on unnecessarily, reducing energy consumption and lowering utility bills. Furthermore, compliant switches contribute to a safer electrical environment by minimizing the risk of overheating and electrical fires. In addition to selecting and installing compliant switches, it is also important to educate occupants about the proper use of electrical equipment and the importance of turning off lights and appliances when not in use. Encourage energy-saving habits to further reduce energy consumption and promote sustainability. By implementing a comprehensive approach to electrical safety and energy conservation, you can create a more sustainable and resilient environment for everyone. Remember, the National Electrical Code is a dynamic document that is regularly updated to reflect advancements in technology and evolving safety concerns. It is essential to stay informed about the latest code requirements and best practices to ensure that your electrical installations are safe, compliant, and efficient. Consult with qualified electrical professionals for guidance and assistance with complex electrical projects or code interpretations. By working together, we can create a safer and more sustainable electrical future. Let's also discuss the specific types of switches that fall under these code requirements. Spring-wound switches are characterized by their internal spring mechanism, which causes them to automatically return to a predetermined position, typically the off position, when released. These switches are often used in applications where momentary contact is required, such as doorbells or signaling circuits. However, as previously mentioned, when used in locations where continuous power is needed, they must have a hold-open feature to prevent accidental power interruptions. Snap switches, on the other hand, are characterized by their quick make and break action, which produces a distinct snapping sound when operated. These switches are commonly used as wall switches to control lighting and other electrical loads. The self-closing requirement for snap switches ensures that they automatically return to the off position when released, preventing energy waste and potential hazard. In addition to these two types of switches, there are other types of switches that may be used in electrical installations, such as toggle switches, rocker switches, and dimmer switches. Each type of switch has its own unique characteristics and applications, and it is important to select the appropriate switch for the specific task. When selecting switches, consider factors such as the voltage and current rating, the type of load being controlled, the environmental conditions, and the applicable code requirements. It is also important to choose switches that are compatible with the wiring system and the enclosure in which they will be installed. Proper installation and maintenance of switches are essential for their safe and reliable operation. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for wiring and mounting the switches and ensure that all connections are tight and secure. Regularly inspect the switches for any signs of wear, damage, or malfunction, and replace them promptly if necessary. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that your switches are operating safely and efficiently. Let's also address some common misconceptions about spring-wound switches and self-closing switches. One common misconception is that all spring-wound switches are inherently non-compliant with the National Electrical Code. This is not true. Spring-wound switches that have a hold-open feature are perfectly acceptable for use in locations where continuous power is required. The key is to ensure that the switch is equipped with a mechanism that allows it to remain in the on position until intentionally turned off. Another misconception is that self-closing switches are only necessary for energy conservation. While energy conservation is an important benefit of self-closing switches, their primary purpose is to enhance safety. By automatically returning to the off position when released, self-closing switches reduce the risk of overheating and electrical fires. It is also important to note that the National Electrical Code does not specifically prohibit the use of spring-wound switches without a hold-open feature in all locations. However, it does require that switches be selected and installed in accordance with their intended use and the applicable code requirements. In situations where continuous power is essential, spring-wound switches without a hold-open feature are generally not recommended due to the risk of accidental power interruptions. Always consult with qualified electrical professionals to determine the appropriate type of switch for your specific application and to ensure compliance with the National Electrical Code. By dispelling these misconceptions and promoting a clear understanding of the code requirements, we can help to create a safer and more efficient electrical environment for everyone. Now let's consider the implications of using non-compliant switches in electrical installations. Using switches that do not meet the requirements of the National Electrical Code can have serious consequences, including code violations, safety risks, and potential liabilities. Code violations can result in fines, penalties, and even the shutdown of operations. Safety risks can include electrical shocks, fires, and equipment damage. Potential liabilities can arise from injuries or damages caused by non-compliant electrical installations. In addition to these direct consequences, using non-compliant switches can also damage your reputation and erode trust with customers and stakeholders. It is essential to prioritize code compliance and safety in all electrical projects to protect yourself, your employees, and the public. To avoid using non-compliant switches, always verify that the switches you are purchasing are listed and labeled by a recognized testing laboratory. Check the manufacturer's specifications to ensure that the switches meet the applicable code requirements for your specific application. If you are unsure about the compliance of a particular switch, consult with a qualified electrical professional for guidance. Remember, it is always better to err on the side of caution when it comes to electrical safety. Investing in compliant switches and proper installation practices is a small price to pay compared to the potential consequences of using non-compliant equipment. By making a commitment to code compliance and safety, you can create a more reliable, efficient, and sustainable electrical environment. Now, let's explore some examples of specific scenarios where the code requirements for spring-wound switches and self-closing switches are particularly important. In healthcare facilities, maintaining a continuous power supply to critical equipment such as life support systems, monitoring devices, and emergency lighting is of paramount importance. The use of spring-wound switches with hold-open features in electrical closets and mechanical rooms ensures that these systems are not accidentally interrupted, potentially saving lives. In data centers, where servers and other IT equipment require a constant power supply, even a brief interruption can cause significant data loss and disruption of services. Compliant switches help to prevent such interruptions, ensuring the reliability and availability of critical data and applications. In manufacturing plants, automated production lines rely on a continuous flow of electricity to operate efficiently. The use of compliant switches helps to prevent unexpected shutdowns that can disrupt production, damage equipment, and reduce productivity. In educational institutions, safety is a top priority. Compliant switches help to prevent electrical hazards and ensure the well-being of students and staff. By providing a safe and reliable electrical environment, schools can create a more conducive learning environment. These are just a few examples of the many situations where the code requirements for spring-wound switches and self-closing switches are critical. By understanding these requirements and implementing proper installation practices, we can help to create a safer and more reliable electrical infrastructure for all. Now let's delve into the testing and certification process for electrical switches. Electrical switches are subjected to rigorous testing to ensure that they meet the applicable safety standards and performance requirements. These tests are typically conducted by independent testing laboratories that are accredited by recognized organizations. The testing process involves evaluating the switches for a variety of factors, including electrical insulation, mechanical strength, resistance to heat and fire, and endurance. The switches are also tested to ensure that they operate reliably and safely under various conditions. If a switch passes all of the required tests, it is certified and listed by the testing laboratory. The listing mark on the switch indicates that it has been evaluated and meets the applicable safety standards. When selecting electrical switches, always look for the listing mark of a recognized testing laboratory. This mark provides assurance that the switch has been thoroughly tested and meets the required safety standards. Some of the most common testing laboratories for electrical switches include Underwriters Laboratories UL, Canadian Standards Association CSA, and Intertek ETL. These laboratories have established reputations for providing reliable and independent testing services. In addition to the listing mark, it is also important to check the manufacturer's specifications to ensure that the switch meets the requirements for your specific application. The specifications will typically include information about the voltage and current rating, the type of load being controlled, and the environmental conditions under which the switch is designed to operate. By carefully considering the testing and certification process, you can select electrical switches that are safe, reliable, and compliant with the applicable standards. Remember, electrical safety is a shared responsibility, and it is crucial for all stakeholders to be aware of and comply with the relevant codes and regulations. Finally, let's discuss some of the emerging trends in electrical switch technology. Electrical switch technology is constantly evolving to meet the changing needs of society. Some of the emerging trends in this field include the development of smart switches, energy-efficient switches, and wireless switches. Smart switches are equipped with advanced features such as remote control, energy monitoring, and automated scheduling. These switches can be controlled remotely using a smartphone or other device, allowing users to manage their energy consumption and improve their comfort. Energy-efficient switches are designed to minimize energy losses and reduce energy consumption. These switches typically use advanced materials and designs to reduce resistance and improve efficiency. Wireless switches eliminate the need for traditional wiring, making them easier to install and more flexible to use. These switches communicate wirelessly with a central controller, allowing users to control lighting and other electrical loads from anywhere in the room. These emerging trends in electrical switch technology are driven by a desire to improve energy efficiency, enhance safety, and provide greater convenience and control. As technology continues to advance, we can expect to see even more innovative and sophisticated electrical switches in the future. By staying informed about these trends, you can make informed decisions about the types of switches that are best suited for your needs. Remember, electrical safety is paramount,